Welcome to Life Stories with me, Des Tong. Now, this week, my guest, I'm honoured to have one of the legends of Birmingham music, from the Moody Blues, John Lodge.
Hi, Des. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Nice intro, thank you.
You're looking very well.
Yeah, I feel good. Yeah, we were on the road and enjoying the tour. It's my very first solo tour.
Brilliant.
So it's taken a long time and I'm having a great time,
Yeah. I want to go right back to the beginning.
Okay.
Life stories. So, born in Erdington.
Erdington, Birmingham. Yeah, Inland Road, 70 Inland Road. Well, perhaps I shouldn't have said that. But, yeah, Inland Road. Went to Birches Green School, and it was great. It was a little cul-de-sac, and yeah, I grew up there. And my neighbour, I got into music because my neighbour's son was in national service, and he'd been in Germany. And he came back from Germany, apparently, with this guitar he bought. He never ever played it, acoustic guitar, but it had steel strings. And his mum said to my mum, would your son like to buy this guitar? So £2, 10 shillings. £2, 10 shillings. And yeah, but I think living in a small community in a council estate, it was wonderful, you know. Met a lot of really nice people, and you know, one of my best friends is still my best friend from like 10 doors away.
Right.
So you know, we all grew up together.
And so, what were your influences at the time?
My influences, I saw Rock Around the Clock, and I was probably 11 years of age or something. And I saw that at the Palace Cinema, which was in the High Street in Erdington.
Right.
And it sort of took over. I thought, oh, rock and roll, that's really something interesting. And then, but then Buddy Holly came along. And Buddy Holly was, for me, up till then there were all these great big iconic singers, you know, the Gene Vincents, the Elvis Presleys, Eddie Cochran, everybody I really liked. But an English person, for me, couldn't be those people, you know, because they were larger than life. And I wondered how you could do that. And Buddy Holly came along and he showed, you know, singer-songwriter. And he studied. And I thought, yeah. So I tried to learn every night, sitting on this 6-string guitar, trying to learn all the chords to Buddy Holly songs, and take, you know, I used to take the guitar to school with me, still playing. And they called me Skiff at school, Skiff Lodge from Skiffle. And yeah, good times.
What got you into bass then?
I was fascinated by riffs. I was absolutely fascinated by the left hand of a piano. I never knew what it was about, but I knew it was a driving force. And I used to listen to all the left-hand side of the pianos of people like Fats Domino, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis. And I went to see a band called the Treniers, and they were on at, I think it was the Gaumont in Birmingham. And it was on the Jerry Lee Lewis tour, which collapsed, but they became top of the bill. And I saw this guy on the back playing what I thought was a Buddy Holly guitar, but in white. And I'm looking, and I realised it only had 4 strings. And so that was it. I thought, it's an electric bass. That's what I want to do. And so I started playing just the bottom 4 strings on my guitar,
Right.
learning all these riffs.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realised, for me, that was the driving force for me for rock and roll. And so it just developed from there. Then I bought a Tuxedo solid bass first, and then I bought a Hofner President.
I had a very thin.
Did you? Yeah, that's the one I had, very blonde, blonde on blonde. And then there was a music shop in Birmingham, no longer there, called Jack Woodruff's. And I used to go there every Saturday. And I went in there one day, and there in the window was this precision bass. It said, direct from America, it said. I saw this. And I went in and I said, how much is it? And it was £115 in 1959. You could buy a house for £900 then. So I actually got on the tram, because it was trams in those days, on the tram back to Erdington, and it was a Saturday and my dad was home. He normally worked on a Saturday. I said, Dad, you've got to come with me and help me, you know. So I took Dad up to Jack Woodruff's, and my dad signed the thing, and I became the proud owner of this Sunburst precision bass.
And you've still got it, haven't you?
And I've still got it. It's played on every Moody Blues song. It records beautifully, because somehow, as you know, being a bass player yourself, the guitars from those days, they were made differently. The woods were different. I don't know how they did it, but it must have been something special, because they were so expensive. So they must have been made differently. And I've still got it now, you know, and I still use it. I still record with it.
But you didn't actually go, like when you left school, you didn't go straight into music, did you?
No, when I was about 7 years of age, I was fascinated by cars. And coming from Birmingham, you know, the car industry in Birmingham, I just wanted to design cars. And I used to spend, I was really fortunate from my point of view. I passed the 11 plus, you know, so I suddenly ended up at a grammar school, and it gave me a different vision on a lot of things. And I used to draw cars all the while. And I remember my French teacher coming up to me and says, Lodge, your French isn't very good. He said, why don't you study the French motor car industry? And it was wonderful, so I used to draw facial Vega cars all the while. And I really wanted to be a car designer from when I was like 7 years of age. I always wanted, fascinated. And so when I left school, I took an apprenticeship, but studied mechanical engineering. But at the same time, the car industry in Birmingham sort of started to decimate, and they started getting Pininfarina, Italian design cars, and you know, everything went wrong. But at the same time, I was playing my guitar every night, and you know, so I was playing every evening, and I suddenly realised that music was going to be what I wanted.
And was this El Riot and the Rebels?
El Riot and the Rebels.
Great name.
Great name. Yeah, with Ray Thomas. Ray was born in Erdington as well, in Pipehays.
Right.
I met Ray when I was 14, and we rented a scout hut and got some of the boys together, Brian Bettridge, Mike Hurd, and Robert Stewart, and we put this band together called the Rebels originally. We thought that was a great name, the Rebels. And then we said, we need something special, you know, and Ray Thomas became El Riot. And we actually used to wear Mexican outfits. And we went to Dunn's in Birmingham, in Corporation Street, I think, and we bought sombreros. So we used to go on. But it was different, because in that, you know, at that period of time, the bands like Johnny Kidd and the Pirates and Nero and the Gladiators, and everyone sort of dressed up.
Yeah. And
so it was great to be El Riot and the Rebels, so we felt part of that whole business, you know, rock and roll.
One was 1966 then, because there was a gap, wasn't there, that you sort of drifted away, but you came back in '66 and joined the Moody Blues, didn't you?
Yeah, what happened was that Ray said to me one day, and Mike Pinder played as well.
Yeah.
In El Riot and the Rebels for a short while, played keyboards, and they said, you know, the Midges and Butlers, the brewery, wanted to have their own band for their pubs.
MB, yeah.
MB, and they were going to form, you know, a super group, you know. And Ray said to me, John, what are you doing? I said, I'm at college. I've got 18 months to go, and I'm not. I like to finish things. I really do. I said, I'm going to finish college, and he said, well, I'm going to join the M&B 5, it was called. And I said, well, good luck. And of course, they recorded Go Now.
Which was Denny, wasn't it? Denny Lane.
Denny Lane,
yeah.
And Clint. And fabulous song, Bessie Banks. Mike played fabulous piano. Great song. And then about a year later, Ray rang me and said, John, have you finished college yet? I said, yeah, I've just finished. He said, well, can you get down to London? He said, I want to get the old band back together. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, Denny's left and Clint's left, and we've want to get back together, you know. So I went down and saw Ray in London, and we talked about it. I met Justin, and we talked about a new Moody Blues, what we'd want to do. And I said, I don't want to play anything from the past. I don't want to do any cover versions. And we all wanted to just make our own music. And so we set about and we wrote a stage show. We went to live in Belgium for 3 or 4 months, and we started writing. And
Decca DRAM.
yeah,
Tell me about that, because that was such a great concept, wasn't it? When it sort
well,
of
it's one of those wonderful things, you know. If you're prepared, and you get an opportunity, you're the one that's prepared. You get the job, you do. And we'd written this stage show, which was basically Days of Future Past. We didn't know it was Days of Future Past. And Decca made not only records, but they made gramophones, and they made all the hardware. And they're introducing stereo in England. And they wanted a record that had full frequency stereo. So they could not only sell the records, but sell their radiograms. And they came to us and said they've got this idea to make this record with an orchestra to show how what they call pop music and classical could combine. And they wanted to use Dvorak's New World Symphony. And they said, would you take the melodies of Dvorak and put some lyrics to it and make this album? So we said to them, and this was Sir Edward Lewis, who was the chairman of Decca. We said, well, if we can have a lockout for a week, no one else could go in the studio, and we'd love to do it. So we spoke with Peter Knight, who was the leader of the orchestra, the London Festival Orchestra, conductor. And we said, we don't want to do Dvorak. We've got all our own songs. What do you think? And we played him the songs, and he said, yeah, this would be great. So without Decca knowing what we were doing, we recorded Days of Future Past with all our own songs. And then we had a playback for everyone at Decca at the end in the studio. We invited all our girlfriends and everything, our wives and music people, and we played the album back in the studio. And nobody at Decca got it. They had no idea what to do with it. And their general opinion was, who are we going to sell this to? But there was 2 people there. Hugh Mendel, who was head of classical at Decca, and a guy called Walt Maguire, who was vice president of Decca Records, or London Records actually, in New York. And they understood it. They understood the album. They said, this is so different. And they became our mentors, and they really got behind us. And it just happened after that, you know. So, and it was wonderful because Sir Edward Lewis was the #1 music man in England. And after the album, he came to see us and said, "Listen, you always called us boys, all the way through." He said, "Do what you want to do," and he said, "I will make sure that no one in DRAM come near you." He did, and he said, "But you'll be on DRAM." And that was great. And so we just looked after ourselves. And because in those days, as you know, A&R people would come up and say, you should record Over the Rainbow. It'd be a hit, you know, things like that. But so that's, you know, then we carried on from there.
And I mean, your awards, I was reading about all the awards you've got for the songs that you've written over the years.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, you know. I think we've got about 15 platinum albums, and you know, but everything else always comes afterwards. So you're not in it for that. It's just sitting there with a blank piece of paper, as you know, blank piece of paper and a pencil, and writing a song and thinking, I wonder if people are ever going to hear this.
I know you're big into charity.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Variety Club of Great Britain. I'm a water rat, which is another charity, and I have my own charity in Barbados. And where we're building, we built it now, a village called the Sunshine Village. Right. And I had a charity in Spain to build a hospice in southern Spain. But these all came really because one of my other enjoyments, you know, music's there and the other enjoyment's down here. But I play golf, I like golf. Right. And through golf, I found I could pay back. And so you have charity golf tournaments and then do a gala night. And it's great because I've had people like Don Felder come along and play, with, you know, so you can have a great charity night and play music and just build things
Best
up.
of both worlds.
Best of both worlds.
Don't do anything daft like Jasper and have things where you do a marathon and anybody who beats him, he gives so much money.
No, I wouldn't want to. He said he was doing the marathon. I said, better you, Jasper, not me.
And another thing I want to ask you about is your Moody Blues cruise.
Oh, Moody Blues cruise.
Because that's brilliant. I love that.
This guy came to us years ago and said, would you do a cruise? And to be honest, I thought it was like the end of the pier. I thought, I didn't think our crew was there, you know, at the end of the pier. And he kept asking every year. And then we said one year, okay, we'll have the meeting. So we took a meeting and he said, no, you've got the wrong idea. The idea is, I've got a ship and it'd be called Moody Blues Cruise. The whole thing will be Moody Blues. And so we did one and we really enjoyed it. And it was wonderful to see all these people come on the cruise. We put a lot of other artists on the ship as well. And it was brilliant. So I think we've had 3 now. And we do one 2017-18 over the new year. Brilliant. And we travel around the Caribbean. So we've been to Jamaica, we've been to the Cayman Islands, we've been everywhere really. Brilliant. So,
and you're one of the top 100 Brummies.
Oh yes, that was wonderful. Oh no, really pleased about that. I mean, I'm a Birmingham person. I love Birmingham, and so. Someone sent me a letter one day and said, you've been nominated and would you come along? And it was wonderful to go, and we were at the town hall, or the council house actually, and we had a meet with all the mayors from all the years that were still around, and it was really nice, and people like Gil Merrick from Birmingham, Gilbert Merrick, you know,
fantastic
goalkeeper, and all these people from Birmingham, it was just wonderful, and I thought, yeah, make my mum and dad proud.
Now so bringing them up to date now. You're just on a tour, aren't you? You've just done a new album.
Yeah, the album's called 10,000 Light Years Ago, and I'm on tour with it right now. I've put a band together called the 10,000 Light Year Band, and I'm having a great time. It's my very first solo tour after all these years.
Really?
Yeah, very first time. And I'm really enjoying it. It's really going well. We're having a great time. I'm going around to all the towns. You know, when the Moody's began, we were in, you know, psychedelic clubs and universities, what we all did, you know. And then suddenly we had like these 2 hit albums, and we sort of we missed out a whole strata of places to play, and we ended up at, which was lovely, you know, but the albums all the places, but we never went to Stratford, and we never went to Lichfield. We never went, you know, and which we did when we were younger, which was great, you know, because we used to play all these places. We had Walsall Town Hall everywhere, you know. Yeah. Brook Brothers.
Talking of Town Hall, you're doing the Birmingham Town Hall, aren't you?
Birmingham Town Hall.
Now tell me the story you've got about that, haven't you?
Oh yes, yeah. This week is Buddy Holly's 80th birthday, and I went to see Buddy. I saw Buddy at Birmingham Town Hall, and I've still got the programme. And you know, he was my absolute hero. So when September the 30th, when I'm standing on stage, I shall look up onto the Cirtle at the front seat up there on the left-hand side, and that's where I sat watching Buddy. So fantastic. I'm going to have a real, you know, zipping back all those years to see me up there looking at me, which is going to be really strange.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but Birmingham Town Hall.
And there's one other thing you're doing, which was I found quite interesting, is wine, isn't it?
Yes, wine. That's I love I got, not that I'm into wine particularly. I love the environment of where vineyards are, like Burgundy and Bordeaux. And when I first went to California in the 60s, I went up to Napa and Sonoma, and it's absolutely beautiful up there. And they started growing wine, and I met some people, and a winery called Beringer and Hitchcock. And we talked about wine, and they said, shall we make a wine together? I said, it'd be wonderful, you know. So we made this red wine, all natural, natural fermentation, everything, and it's called Christmas, and it's named after my son and daughter, Christian and Emily Christmas. And we made a red wine, and then we made another one from Bordeaux, and this year we made one from 2014, we made one from South Africa, Chardonnay, with a wonderful winemaker called Richard Kershaw. My daughter runs it all, Emily, and we just won the International Wine Challenge for the top Chardonnay from South Africa. So
Amazing.
Out of the blue.
Yeah.
Out of the blue, you know.
Fantastic.
But it's just...
John, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to you.
Oh, thank you, Des.
Appreciate you coming in and taking
my
the
pleasure.
time. Great luck with the tour
Thank you very much
and
indeed.
the album.